Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and it's time to kick off my reading for the Readathon Rebellion. I am super excited for my September reading for many reasons, but chief among those is that Mel from Melanor Reads has brought us a new readathon. It's a board game style. You can kind of make of it what you want, make it as hard or as easy as you want, but this is going to be a rule as I go type of style play for me this month, and I am really looking forward to it. This type of readathon definitely adds a lot of motivation for me as I go, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you saw my TBR for September, I did do my first 3 rolls, so I already know where I'm going to be starting, but I didn't actually pick my first book. I had a couple of options, so let's remind ourselves what happened if you didn't see that TBR. The first roll, I rolled a 1. I am playing on hard mode, which means I'm rolling a single 6-sided die for each move, and a 1 wasn't, an ideal number to start with, but that's okay, we're just getting started. And I landed on info gathering, and the prompt that I got was to read a book that I heard about from one of the council members. And Mel has a lot of fantastic council members on her team for this readathon, so that gave me lots of options, but 2 things are actually on my TBR for this month that did get onto my TBR inspired by our council members. And the one that I think I'm going to go ahead and start with is one that I've been really looking forward to. It's one I've been trying to get to for a while, and the Libby hold came in just in time to kick off September, so clearly it was a sign that it's time to finally read The Wind Reaver by Julie Johnson. This is one that Cassidy with Covers with Cassidy really hyped up, and I went to Barnes & Noble and I picked up the book almost right away and still haven't managed to read it. It's one that's not teeny, so that's part of it, and I tried to get the ebook so I could take it on vacation with me because I didn't want to take the chunky book, and then I couldn't get that in time, and it's just gotten delayed a couple times for various reasons. But now is the time. Do I remember a whole lot about this one other than the hype behind it? No. It is in a world where magic is feared. People like our main character are killed on sight, but then she winds up getting saved, and that's really it. There's an Embers of the Ancient Prophecy being reignited, igniting a storm that could save her realm or doom them all. And again, there's several people I know and trust who have absolutely loved this, so I'm excited to get going on it, and I'll let you know once I do. It is around 2:30ish on Monday. I keep thinking it's Sunday, but no, it's a holiday Monday. So things haven't been going exactly according to plan. I've got a little bit of a headache that kind of has been plaguing me all weekend. I think it's the heat, potentially some of the fires that are going on. None close to me, but enough in the area that maybe it's impacting things as well. But I'm not moving quite as quickly through my reading as I had hoped. I had grand plans that maybe, since I was starting the month with a over 500-page book, maybe I'd try finishing it within a day and checking that off my Herkid to-do list, but maybe that's not going to happen. We'll see. I think I'm going to take a break from reading for a little while. But first, I did want to say I have at least gotten halfway into The Wind Reaver, and I'm having a good time with this one. I think it's got some really interesting world building. The idea of these remnants that our main character doesn't really know about to start with, but we do from the synopsis, and she quickly starts to learn a little bit more about herself and about the people around her and their kind of hidden identities, I guess you would say. We start by following Rhea, and she has been kind of on her own for a while, and she was trying to make ends meet, stay alive, survive in nature. She ran off when people were coming after her because she is a halfling, which means she is someone who is illegal. Basically, she's not allowed to exist, and she does eventually get captured. She gets desperate, she needs food, she gets captured in the process. And she's about to be killed, and then Commander Scythe arrives, and he is a reluctant hero, let's call him. He comes in and basically saves her, but it doesn't really seem like that great of a thing because she winds up strapped to the back of his horse, and she is in really sorry condition, and riding on the back of a horse while chained up is not helping matters, and she's just kind of holding on until she can find a way to escape. Eventually he realizes how bad a condition she's in, gets her a little bit of help, and things start to warm up between them a little bit. Obviously, this is going to turn into a romance. I wasn't sold on the way this went originally for the romance aspect. We very quickly start to see that he's being won over by her. He's starting to care about her, and I wasn't quite buying how quickly that happened. We don't get his POV, so I think that's part of it, but we're starting to get some explanations about their relationship and their connection, and I think that's starting to help me enjoy it more. I say that as if I haven't been enjoying it. I have. That's just more about the romance aspect and the direction it's taking and the speed it's taking. I'm all for enemies to lovers. This wound up going pretty quickly, I think, into him falling for her or caring about her at least. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. I am really enjoying it. I'm finding it really easy to consume, to binge. Like I said, I made it halfway in, which my bookmark's in the wrong spot, is around, I think I'm at around 250 pages in. So I am getting through this really quickly. I am actually enjoying physically reading it. I have switched to the audio in places because of my headache. My eyes aren't really wanting to cooperate with reading, unfortunately. So I've been doing some audio, and then I've also got an ebook. So this is truly going to be a multi-format type of read for me, but that's where we're at with it. It's very easy to consume. I really like our main character a whole lot. She is fierce. She's smart. She knows when to kind of pull her punches and wait for opportunities to hit her. She is very lost as to who she is, what her origin story maybe might have been, and she's used to kind of having to keep her identity as a halfling under wraps, and we're getting to learn the world more through her, which is one of my favorite ways in fantasy to kind of learn a world, is to learn it along with our character, because I feel like it moves pretty naturally that way. So in any case, this is off to a good start. I am really having a good time with it. If my headache would cooperate, I think I probably would have just sat and binged this all day long. So I think I'm going to take a TV break, kind of maybe lay down, turn some AC on, or at least the fan, and get myself some ice cream, maybe read a little bit with my ice cream, and then take a break. And we'll see where we go from there. It is not later the same day, but it is later the next day, and I have finished up the Windweaver. I think if I had been feeling better yesterday, I could have completely finished this in a single day, but the headache just had me wanting to lay down, watch some TV, take a break from reading, and taking a break from using my eyes. But today I had to spend a lot of time driving around. I had to be off-site from my office, and it was very, very hot. It got up to 106 as I was driving around out there, and being outside a little bit, thankfully mostly was inside air-conditioned places. But in the driving portion of my day, I did make a good dent in this book, and then I decided I wanted to finish it in physical form at the end, because endings always amp up the pace, and this one was no different. The story I really wound up enjoying. The main character and the what I would call the primary love interest, I still had some issues here and there with the relationship. I definitely wanted them to communicate and clear up the misunderstandings about how each of them were feeling about the other. I felt like they were being purposefully dumb in some ways, but I generally like the pairing, but I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with it. There is another character in here who represents, at least to my mind, a second love interest, and I wasn't so sure about the idea of a second love interest at the beginning. We didn't get a ton of them together in the beginning of the book, but he comes into things much more, I think, toward the end, and I wound up actually liking him more, and he definitely had some more intelligence going for him, and there was a little bit more of trusting our main character, let's say it that way. I think I'm going to like him more. I don't know. We'll see what book 2 brings, because I am definitely going to be picking that up. This had a few issues with me. It wasn't 100% an obsession, but it was a super solid 4-star read. The world building was cool. I liked the way the elements are set up in here and the way they are connected to these characters, and the use of magic and the way that different elements are used, I think was all really, really cool. The relationship wasn't my favorite necessarily, but I can see potential. I can definitely be on board with where this is going. So I definitely will be picking up the next book when the time comes. I think that's not going to be for a while, but I'm glad that I finally picked this one up, and that I am off on my quest for the Readathon Rebellion with my first book done. My next roll from my TBR video took me 3 spaces forward, which landed me on objective 1, which I needed to do anyway, so that wound up perfect. Objective 1 was to find a multi-POV book, and for that one I am reading the October October Film Haunt. And I have already started this one. I will have my thoughts for this one for you very quickly. And then I have one more after this one pre-chosen, and then we get to start doing new rolls. So with this one done, I am moving on with book 2, and I'll be back once I have thoughts for that one and keep the momentum going with this rebellion. I am ready to check in on my first objective read, and that is The October Film Haunt by Mikkel Wehunt. I don't have an audiobook for this one, so I don't know how it's pronounced there. But I am 136 pages into this one. I'm using the super fancy PR materials as my bookmark on this one. This one I am having mixed feelings about. We start with Jory, and Jory is someone who used to be obsessed with horror movies, and she and her two best friends, they started a blog. It was The October Film Haunt. And this was something that they went to different settings from horror movies, and they would kind of blog their experience of this. And one of those movies was Proof of Demons. And this was like a cult classic kind of horror movie. It has a lot of mystery surrounding it. There is a name of a director tied to it, but nobody really knows her or who she is. There is kind of a bigger name actor associated with it, but like he never met the director. And it mostly is an indie movie. It's got these like haunting images of weird creatures and trees and funerals and all of these things. And something went really tragically wrong with the post that they put out about their visit to the cemetery where this was filmed, and it resulted in somebody dying. One of the friends wind up dying himself like a year after the fact, and there's an implication, of course, that it's tied to what happened. And then the other two friends, Jory and Beth, haven't talked basically since this all went down. And as the book opens, Jory receives a VHS tape, and it is called Funeral Watching. It's labeled as that, and it basically is a recreation of like six pivotal scenes from the Demon movie. And it's a recreation that seems good, but there are details that are different about it as well. So it's not just taking that and putting it in a new format. It's actually being redone. And this is something that winds up being creepy because it shows up to her house where she lives with her son. She hears noises in the house even when her son's not there. There's a lot of creepy things. And also she realizes something about the movie is it seems to have been filmed closer to where she lives. In this book, we're getting a lot of mixed media, and we're getting these interludes, we're getting passages from the blog post she posted, we're getting passages from like a almost Wikipedia kind of explanation, we're getting kind of scenes from the movie, we're getting Reddit threads about this, and she winds up actually reaching out to Beth and telling her what's going on. Possibly maybe there's room to fix their friendship as they try to figure out who maybe is in touch with Jory about this movie. And I'm feeling really good about the haunting elements of this, the creepiness of the trees and the images from the movie, and them having to kind of consider, is somebody after them? Is somebody coming into their homes that's meaning menace to them? Who is filming these replacement videos? And who's putting stuff out on social media about this and rehashing everything that went wrong the first time around and bringing it back around? I am, however, finding it slow in places. I feel like there's a disconnect. Some of the passages we get a different POV that I just don't know how it fits yet. And at this point in the book, I would like to start seeing those pieces come together. I rambled too long and I killed my battery, so sorry, things shifted a bit, but this is leaving me with the feeling that some of these passages in here feel unnecessary. I feel like things could have been edited out. I am not connecting with all of the POVs and all of the passages of scripts and different things that are in here quite as much as I would like to. I'm much more invested in Jory's POV and Beth's POV once we start getting that one. I think that's where the tension and the creepiness come in. So with that, I am really interested to see where this is going. It feels like I'm making slow progress, but I did get through like 135 pages fairly quickly, so I don't feel like it's been that slow. It definitely was a good pick for multi-POV, which is what my objective one prompt, of course, is. So I don't know, it's working for me, but also at places it's not working for me, and I'm finding it relatively easy to put down. So in any case, Kylie's seen some sort of critter outside, so I need to go deal with that. I'm going to keep reading this, and I will check back in once I have some more updates for you. Well, I have an update. Yeah. So let's just get into it. I finished the October film haunt, which took me a rather long time to finish. I got down to like less than 100 pages on the weekend and then just didn't make very much progress every time I picked it up. And that's because I just didn't like it. It had good moments. That's what really frustrated me, is I think this is an author who pulls off creepy moments. There's scenes of people inside the house filming and sneaking in and creeping on windows and things like that just really worked for me in a horror sense and gave me some chills here and there. But the realism of this and the what the heck is going on-ness of this had me struggling to stay immersed in the story. There's debate in my mind, and I think in the story itself with the characters, as to how much is reality and how much is paranormal. There's definitely more than reality going on in here. I still feel like there were places where things could have easily been cut out and I would have been just fine. I like the found footage nature of some of this and the mixed media, the articles, that type of stuff, but I felt like it was just a little too much that didn't directly always tie in. There was a twist that I somewhat predicted and I thought was a little bit obvious. I didn't get the reason or the reveal part of it, how the characters figured it out, but definitely saw that coming and it felt like I had been waiting for the shoe to drop kind of a thing. The ending is very vague and it goes a couple different directions and it does a little bait and switch type of stuff, which I don't love. I'm not someone who needs definitive answers for everything, but I felt like I didn't get enough in here to sink my teeth into to really feel like it came to an ending. I don't know. There were things about it I liked. Like I said, the atmosphere of it, the setting of it, I think was really well done. I don't feel like I knew the side characters well enough to keep track of who was who, to feel connected to some of the side characters. I felt for Jory. I felt for Jory's relationship with Beth. I felt for Jory's relationship with her son. I think those kind of core central relationships were good, but I didn't feel like I got enough of some of the other characters. And I think the writing was fine. So, I mean, if I kind of average in my enjoyment being really low, the plot really not working for me, but the writing being good, the setting being good, the atmosphere being good, this winds up being kind of a high 2.5 maybe for me, but I can't. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because I did not like Horror Movie when I read it in print without having an audiobook. And I know people have absolutely loved it. It was one of their favorite books of the year, and it just didn't work for me reading it in print. So maybe this is the same case. Maybe this, with like some production value type of thing, maybe it would be different. I don't know. But unfortunately, this did not continue our trajectory of wins for this particular vlog, but that's okay. The good news is that finishing this, I've actually started book number 3, which is my nonfiction book. So it's A, very short, and B, nonfiction. So I don't tend to have midway thoughts on those. So I should finish that up by tomorrow and be able to roll for my next read, which I'm excited to move on to something new. So that's where we're at the moment. I think I deserve some dessert for finishing this book finally, and I will move on from there, have a relaxing evening, finish my nonfiction tomorrow, and we will see where we journey to next. We are on day 4 of the Rebellion, and I have an update for you because I have indeed finished my 3rd book. So to give the really quick rapid fire recap, when I started the Rebellion, I rolled a 1, which was not ideal. Got a good book out of it, but then moved on to objective 1. Not great, but that's okay. My 3rd roll got me some forward momentum finally. I rolled a 6, and that landed me again on info gathering, and I wound up looking for a book with an even page count. So that book, which I have now finished, was Watching Evil Dead, Unearthing the Radiant Artist Within by Josh Malerman. And this is a nonfiction by Josh Malerman, and he is an author that I've really, really enjoyed. In the past, with his fiction writing, Bird Box stands out as my favorite of his, but I have enjoyed others as well. And this is an arc. It is coming out on September 16th. I got the gifted copy from Del Rey. And this is his remembrances of introducing his then fiancée, now wife, to watching the movie Evil Dead with friends and kind of remembering her seeing it for the first time, him loving the movie, his friends having seen it and loved it, their relationship falling apart, his relationship being in a good place, going good directions. He had just kind of signed the deal for Bird Box, and his life in this moment was going through a huge huge transition, which he ties back to the movie and draws some parallels there. I always find it interesting to hear authors talk about their writing process, and we do get some of that in here. That was interesting. He talks about his dreams for what the cover of Bird Box would be. He talks about some of the early days of promoting it. He talks about just making the transition from being a musician before and then becoming an author and actually, having success at that. And he definitely kind of burst onto the scene of horror with Bird Box, I think, in a lot of ways. And I liked those parts of the book in particular. The parallels with the Evil Dead franchise, I didn't necessarily always feel like they were totally grounded. And I'm not a big connoisseur of the Evil Dead movie, so maybe if I had more of a knowledge base in that, I would have more appreciated some of the parallels. There's a lot of stuff in here about relationships ending, relationships beginning, and life transforming, and I appreciated where he was coming from. I didn't necessarily find all of it fascinating. There's a lot of him just randomly going out and smoking some pot with a friend and talking about their relationships, and there's a lot of kind of stream of consciousness sort of thing going on in here. It is short. It is only 200 something pages, 208, hence my even page count qualification for this. So overall, I enjoyed it. I think I'm landing around a 3.5 or 3, somewhere in there. I think it didn't 100% land with me, and looking at reviews for this, obviously it's early days, it's not out yet, but I think there's a lot of mixed opinions out there. So I think if he's an author you like and you're interested, I think this is one that's worth checking out. It's certainly a fast one. I think the audiobook was less than 5 hours, so it's pretty quick as well. And with that, we finished our third book. Okay, so I am going to screen record again because we finally get to do a new roll. And let me see. Here we go. Now, looking at the board, my objective with this particular vlog is to get to and finish objective 2. I am planning to kind of split things up, hopefully do this in 1 week, and then another week later in the month, I will get to the end of the board. So we've got enough spaces here. We're at least going to have to roll twice for 2 more books. My guess is probably more than that. My luck's not that good, but let's go ahead and roll and see where we wind up. Ooh, we got 6. I spoke a little bit too soon. So that puts me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a training stop. Okay, let me see if I can mark that appropriately. Okay, there's been some sort of update because I no longer have the same color option I had previously, but we're gonna go ahead. That's also not wanting to focus appropriately. So that's okay, it's fine. We know where we're going. We're going to training. Okay, let's see if my phone's a little more cooperative. We are going to go ahead and screen record there as well so we can spin our training wheel to see what our prompt is going to be. Okay, so I have all my wheels here. Let's pull up the training wheel and let us spin. Read a book outside your comfort zone. Okay, this is one of those prompts I struggle with because I don't really feel like there's any book that I want to read that are outside my comfort zone. But with that, okay, I think what I'm going to do is interpret this a little bit differently and not so much a book or a genre that's outside my comfort zone, but focus in on the fact that I've really been struggling with books that I don't have on audio lately. And I think the book that I'm going to go with is one I have purely on ebook. There is no audiobook, and I don't think there's plans for an audiobook because it comes out next week and I didn't find it listed on any of the audio platforms. And that is House of Idol by Delilah S. Dawson. This is a gifted copy I have from Titan Books on NetGalley, and I'm really actually excited for this one. It's more so the fact that just my focus in reading in print has not been there lately. So I'm not going to say what this is about because I'm not entirely sure going into it. I requested it on NetGalley purely based on the author name, and honestly assuming I probably could get an audiobook at the time, but here we are. I am going to go ahead and get started on this one, and then I will let you know how it's going and give you an update once I'm a good way into it. Hello, I'm checking back in with you because I have made it halfway into House of Idol by Delilah S. Dawson. And this took me a little bit to get into. I picked it up the first time and wasn't 100% getting hooked. The writing is easy to read, but it felt very much just like a contemporary story at the beginning, and it took a little bit for it to really engage me. I picked it back up and then wound wound up binging through the full first half. So once I got to, let's say, the 20% mark or so, that's when it really kind of started to draw me in. We started to get to more of the unsettling elements that I'm used to from this author, and I'm so intrigued to see where this one is going. This book follows Angelina. She is a struggling songwriter and a singer. She has a fantastic voice. She's trying to get attention using her social media to put her songs and her singing out there, but really she's trying to make ends meet working as a barista. This doesn't go entirely well. She winds up kind of very spectacularly flaming out at this day job, and she realizes she really has nothing to her name at this point, and you can't really make a name for yourself in Los Angeles if you don't have a place to live and the ability to stay connected to social media and all of the like. She has been a longtime fan of a band called Black Idol, and she winds up getting the opportunity to meet them. And this is something she can't quite believe. And she gets sucked into their world and being given opportunities to become part of this world and to be supported in her art, but it almost seems too good to be true. She keeps wondering, is this a cult? It seems like a cult in so many ways, but it seems to be something that could potentially really get her into where she wants to be in terms of her art and fame and fortune and who knows what all. But there are things about this place that she has wound up that are definitely unsettling. There are screams, there are weird images that she sees, there's things she doesn't quite remember. There's just a lot going on at this place, and it is a very short read. I want to say it's like around 250 pages, give or take a little bit, so it is going very quickly now that I am sucked into it. I'm looking forward to finishing up and seeing what direction this goes. I think this is an author who really does unsettling well, really does kind of idyllic settings, but with something under the surface that you can clearly know is not right. And I am really excited to keep going on this one. So this is going well, even though I was a little scared of having to sit and read with my eyes, as that has not been going well. This did indeed go well. So I am off to a good start with this, and I'll let you know how it winds up. It is now Saturday. I started off the day getting my nails done, and then I finished up House of Idol. I think I like this one. It is not going to surpass Guillotine as my favorite Delilah S. Dawson, but I think I liked it more than Bloom. I think it's going to stick in my memory better than Bloom did anyway. It had me a little bit worried. It was going in some very sexual directions. There was definitely some dubious consent type things going on that had me a little worried, but it didn't go too far for me, and it didn't become the 100% focus. It really went in directions of what the heck am I reading, which I do like in my horror, and I think ultimately it played on the issues of obsession and the fact that this Black Idol band was indeed our main character's idol for so long, but she got to kind of experience being part of the group, being outside of the group, the full range of emotions that happened along the way with some of that, and ultimately like that she kind of took control of things at times. She was willing to speak up. I do think she made some bad decisions along the way. The whole, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is concept should have clicked in her mind probably sooner. I mean, it was there, but she just kind of still went with it. But I kind of liked the final twist and where we wound up with things, and it felt a little unfinished in some ways to me, but ultimately I think I liked how it ended, I think. So I think this one's getting a good solid 4 stars for me, and I think I'm ready to move on to my next book. I'm hoping to get an audiobook. I'm working on a crochet project this weekend. I'm making these little crochet coasters, and the pattern for these is from Tony at TL Yarn Crafts, and they're just really easy to make once you figure out the pattern. And I have a bunch of different colors of these to make, and there is a pattern for a larger version that is a placemat, and I think I am going to go ahead and make a couple placemats. I think for right now maybe I'll do 4 colors of the coasters and then work on some placemats. I don't currently own any round plates, and a round placemat kind of calls for that, but I am planning to get some round plates. The set I had before broke really easily, and I finally lost my final round plate. So that is a goal, but that's really not what we're here for. We are here to figure out what my next book is. So let us do that. Okay, let's start screen recording. And looking at the map, we have 4 would get us to objective 2. So meaning if we roll a 4, 5, or 6, we are going to objective 2. If we roll a 1, 2, or 3, then we have another book to read before we get there at least. So let's go ahead and roll. and we got a 3. So that's fine. We are therefore going to be going, okay, zooming in a little bit so I can actually see what we're at. We've got Roadblock. And that means for sure our next book will be Objective 2. We don't even need to roll because obviously you can't roll anything less than a 1, which is what gets us to Objective 2. So let's go ahead and grab the spinner wheel for Roadblock. Okay, I have my Roadblock spinner and let's see what we get. Okay, this one actually gives me 2 options, and healing would require me to read a light source on the cover. Staying behind would have me reading a book from my owned TBR. Obviously, owned TBR is the easiest option, but let me see what I can find and check back in with you. After rereading Mel's description of the prompt, the idea of this one is that one of my comrades has fallen ill, injured, something along those lines, and I have the option to heal them, bring them along, they'd be useful, or ask them to go ahead and stay behind for this particular part of the journey. And I think I would want to help a friend out and help heal them. So we're going for healing, which requires a source of light on the cover. And I think what I'm going to do for that, which might be a little bit controversial, is I've decided to count this book for the Magical Readathon as a book with a sun on the cover. I don't know how well it shows up, but I don't know that that's actually a sun, but it's a sun shape, so we are counting it as a sun. And since we're counting it as a sun is certainly a source of light. So with that, I'm going to be reading To Catch a Razor by Veronica Roth. This is the sequel to When Among Crows, and I'm hoping it kind of refreshes my memory for the first book because it's been a little bit, but I do have an audio arc of this as well, so it will allow me to sit and have my coffee and crochet maybe a bit with it, and it's not very long. It'll let me get to this one, and then my Objective 2 book we will have to find once I finish this one, and we'll go from there. Not too terribly much time has passed, but it was long enough to make another coaster and to make the majority of a placemat to go with it. I have one more round of the regular plus then the scalloped edge, and then this one will be done for the day. But in the meantime, I did also finish up To Clutch a Razor, and I didn't come in with midway thoughts for a variety of reasons. It is a very short book, and then also it's a sequel, so it's really building on the previous book. So there's not a whole lot I can say about this one without spoiling things from book 1, but I did enjoy my time with it. This series, I don't even know if I knew it was going to have a sequel at the time I first read it. I don't know if I recorded it as part of a series, and it almost from the afterword in this one sounds like the decision to have another story with these characters came in after the fact, but I also don't remember super well how the first one ended, so maybe I did know at the time and just kind of forgot. But in any case, this is set in a kind of modern world, but with Slavic folklore creatures existing in here. We've got Baba Yaga, we've got different creatures that I don't know how to pronounce their names, even though I just listened to the audiobook for this one. We have Demeter, who is a knight, and we have one of the people, creatures you could say, Allah, who is a creature, a being that feeds off of fear. And those two were definitely prevalent in the first book, and theirs is the story that I remember the best. We also have Nico in here and his relationship, and that I don't remember as well, whether they were prevalent in the first book or not, but he winds up being drawn home by the funeral of someone in Demeter's family, and Demeter, of course, goes back as well, and there's things from the first book that are consequences that come to bear here, and there's a lot of push and pull, having to make hard decisions, having to make choices to deal with curses and things like that. Being as vague as possible, but trying to say something. But this is really well done, I think, blending the kind of real world with the folklore, and I like learning more about the folklore through here. And the author talks about, through the process of writing these novels, she's learned more about what sounds like her own kind of Polish heritage that she didn't know about. So with that, I did overall really enjoy this one. It was a good, quick, easy read, and I'm giving it 4 stars. And we don't even need to roll again because we know our next prompt is the social media scroll, which is the scary one. But the idea with this is going to be, I'm going to go to Goodreads because I get so many ads on Instagram. I feel like it'll take forever to find books there. Hopefully Goodreads has some good options for me. And my ideal is to find a book that I actually own to read, as opposed to just finding a book and tracking it down and reading it. So let us see what I have on my Goodreads scroll right now. Okay. We have romance, a thriller looking, I don't know, a thriller that looks interesting, another thriller that looks interesting, but I don't own either of those. I don't know what Joe's thing is. Ankle Snatcher is a novella short story. I don't really want to do that one. More romances. Oh, okay. Okay. I just got Calabasas in the mail, and I guess it is time to read that one. So I'm pretty sure I'm at the very, very tippy top of the waiting list for the audio as well. And I got my special edition in the mail this week. So, okay, I'm excited about this one. I'm a little bit nervous, but also excited. So our final book for this particular installment in the Readathon Rebellion vlog will be Calabasas by R.F. Wong, who is an author I know I can love. So I have high hopes. I'll be back once I make it partway through, let you know how it's going. Happy Sunday. I wound up yesterday spending a good deal of time reading, and then I had a headache, laid down, took a nap for a while, and then I went to a book event last night. One of my local indies, the one close to my work, had their 5-year anniversary party happen. I didn't spend a whole lot of time there, but someone I knew from Bookstagram and from previous events had let me know about it, so I did go by and visit that, have a drink, enjoy the music for a wee little bit, but then headed home. So I didn't get a ton of reading time yesterday to further the rebellion, but now it's Sunday. We are definitely in full-on rebellion mode, and I have been reading. I am now a little bit past halfway in Calabasas, and I am on chapter 19, which puts me 287 pages in. This is the Fairy Lit edition that just showed up at my door this week, so I had good timing in that regard. Not sure how well it's going to focus, but I really like the kind of dark academia vibes of this version. And we've got our main characters here and statue, and of course there's a cat. I am having a fantastic time with this, actually. I have been flying through this. I've been working on my crochet while I'm listening to the audiobook. I did get the audiobook from my library, and I think this one just immediately hooked me in. The idea of this magical world where hell is a place that you can go to quite naturally when you die, but also our main characters, after their professor, their mentor, dies, they are choosing to go into hell to go find him and bring him back. There's this potential that you can come back from hell. And I don't know that this professor is worth it. Pretty early on, you figure out he's not necessarily the best of guys. And our two main characters are kind of rivals. They're reluctant allies in this particular situation. But as we go along, we learn that Peter seems to be this super nice guy. And what is this rivalry between them really about? I think it's something the professor fostered between them. I think there's some sort of something that has happened in their past. And ultimately, there's a whole heck of a lot of miscommunication going on in here. And that's not my favorite thing. I do want to kind of slam these two characters together and work it out, just talk things through. And we are just following in Alice's POV, and we are seeing that she's got a lot of hurt feelings around Peter and a lot of assumptions about what he's up to. She's seen things. She mistrusts his motives in helping her through this quest. And there's a lot to uncover and unpack there. I started this video thinking that maybe I could read Windweaver in a day and fulfill a Herkid prompt. I don't think I explained that really, but the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do from QWordy is a challenge that I'm working on this year. I do have a video about it, but there's one prompt in particular to choose a prompt from the previous year, and the prompt that I chose for that was to read a 500-page book in a day, because that is a challenge, but it's a doable challenge, I think. So I am hopeful that I can maybe now make this my single day, because it really just keeps pulling me back to start it again. I am pretty much just spending the day at home today, hanging out with Kylie. It's early afternoon. I've only got like 250 pages, 280 pages, something like that. I'm not going to do math to finish in here. And I got through the first half relatively quickly. It's not one that I want to speed up too much in my audio. I could crank this out in probably a couple hours if I upped my speed a little bit more. But I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in here. There's a lot to kind of think through. It's not a brain off type of read. So I think I'm going to keep going. I think I am very intrigued to learn more, to see more of this hellscape. I like that she's using kind of writings from other authors who have depicted hell and using some of what they had and putting it in here, but also making changes. I think the world building is really cool. There's some cool kind of creature structure type things happening. All of these things are definitely working for me. So this is going very well. I'm going to continue on, and then I'll be back with final thoughts. Well, it is now Monday, and I am happy to say that I did finish Calabasas last night and I loved it. It was definitely a me type of book. It was smart. It had references to things that I recognized. It had really cool world building. I enjoyed our characters. I like that Alice is not always lovable. She makes some moves and makes some assumptions and so forth that had me frustrated with her at times. I definitely wanted her and Peter to talk things out, and we do get communication as things go. There are some twists and turns to the story that I liked. I liked the resolution that we got in the end. There were maybe some turns that I think could have punched a little harder, but that's okay. I think overall, this one winds up being a good 5-star for me. So an excellent way to finish off this vlog. I had some not so great ones in the middle, but I started with a great book, ended with a great book. All told, this was a fun time. And as I was reading this one, as I was working on a crochet along that was Alice in Wonderland inspired, I wondered if that kind of maybe put it in my mind, but I did feel like there was some Alice in Wonderland inspirations going on in here, especially with a character named Alice. There's a few times in the story I was like, is this? Because like I said, I was working on my crochet along, which is Alice in Wonderland themed. This is the panel I worked on this weekend, which is caterpillar themed from Alice in Wonderland. So I don't know, maybe that put it in my head just a wee little bit, but that was a fun little overlap as well. And this winds up being a good 5-star read for me, an excellent way to finish off this vlog. We started with a high note, we're ending with an even higher note, and had a few not the best reads in between, but that's okay because the overall journey is going well. I'm having so much fun playing Mel's Readathon Rebellion board game, and I can't wait to find out what is going to be my next read, but that will be for my next vlog. So let me know in the comments below, are you playing the Readathon Rebellion this month? If so, what's been your favorite prompt you've read for? Or let me know if you've read any of these books or any of them on your TBR. Let me know all the things. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me a mushroom emoji for my mushroom panel. That gave me a few headaches this weekend, but I'm very proud that I finished it. I still have to do a second one. Let's not talk about that. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my Readathon Rebellion reading, more of my book reviews, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.